All right, guys, we're going to get started here. On behalf, if you don't know me, my name is Terrence Lackford, aka the Optical Poet, and I'm with Vision Expo, the Vision Council. And on behalf of the Vision Expo team, we would like to welcome you all here for happy hour. So just so you know, just a few housekeeping items to go through before we get started. We decided to use the Zoom platform for a number of reasons, but most importantly, so we can all see one another and have more of an interactive community feel for this meeting. This is not a webinar. This is a conversation with your friends and your family over drinks. So in order for this to work, we just ask that you keep your mics on mute unless you are a panelist or a moderator. Now later on, just in case we may have a little bit of time for Q&A, we may not. But you could use the chat box feature to type your questions in, and if we have time, we'll get to your questions. So now, just in case we do get disconnected for any reason, we ask that you just wait 5 minutes and reconnect using the same link. Now, after 5 minutes, if we don't reconnect, we will send a notice out and let you know that the meeting or the conversation has been postponed. All right, so now that all that housekeeping is out the way, we're going to get to our panel, and we are very excited to have our moderator, my big brother, editor-in-chief of 2020 magazine, Mr. James Spina. James, how you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Terrence. Thank you again for just having me.
Good. No, it's good to have you, James. Good to have you. How have you been doing?
I'm good. I've been energizing every day by talking to the bartender, who happens to be with us today, Nico, constantly giving me the energy to push forward, push on, and push anew. Nico's here to make a drink for you if you want. So
yes, he is. So
excited
Nico,
to get started.
Let's get to you, Nico. So Nico, let's tell the people who you are and what you're doing for us.
Well, despite apparently I have a reputation of drinking, it seems to be. You also used to be bartender back a long time ago in New York, but over the last 15 plus years, I've been working with a lot of the amazing people down the screen, and it's a pleasure to see everybody, especially in this time. Currently, I'm the creative director at Europa and State Optical. Used to work at Modo. I think my old boss is somewhere around here. And before that, also at, of course, Gai Gherardi. So Mike Convert, shout out to Mike, is somewhere around here. So anyway, I'm here today. I was asked to make you guys a drink. So hopefully everybody already have one. But as it is Mother's Day this weekend, I wanted to wish happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that is logged in right now on this call. And in memory of my dear friend James' mother, we're going to be doing her favorite drink, which was a whiskey sour. So we obviously everybody support local business. We support local business. We've done a collaboration with those guys. Few is a distillery here just outside Chicago. We love their stuff, maybe a little too much, but so I'm going to use this as whiskey for today. So very simple. Oh my God, I'm getting another call on the other line. Okay, wait. I lost everybody? No, okay, everybody's here. So ice. We're going to take 2 ounces of whiskey. Right? 1 ounce of lemon juice. There you go. Simple syrup, which I've done. You can do that at home. It's very easy. It's 1 part sugar, 2 parts sugar, 1 part water. You can keep that in the fridge for 6 months. So we're going to do half of that, of simple syrup, half an ounce. There you go. And then the magic touch is we're going to finish with half of an egg white. Okay, I know that sounds weird, but so you pour.
No, it sounds fancy.
So then you shake. beauty of it. You get, it's nice and fresh, it's nice for Friday, it's nice and easy, and you can wait a few minutes, and you get that nice foam up, which gives a nice texture to the drinks.
Ooh, that looks really good. Well, thank you, Nico. Really appreciate you being here.
I don't think I ever had that many people in my house before, but thanks for joining me.
Thank you. So now we're going to turn our attention over to our big brother, James Spina, and James is going to take us into our panel with some amazing optical rock stars. So James is going to take part in Independence at the Creative Edge. This was meant to be live at Vision Expo East, but now we're bringing it to you virtually. So James, you have our attention.
No, thank you. And thank you again. Just so honored to be here. I calculated that it's 6 years running that we're doing this. It started out as a evolution from a CFDA panel, and Gai was on that panel. I was asked to host that, and that eventually evolved into this independent panel with an ongoing series of topics, always really on the cutting edge of what's happening with eyewear, both from the retailer and the vendor side. We were intending to present this live at Expo, where I'd be roaming the stage, which I'm much more comfortable doing than just sitting in my basement. But, you know, in the last couple of weeks of doing Zooms and doing ring chats, this has become the new reality for now. And the ongoing reality will be the energy and the fuse being lit every day from very creative, independent vendors and independent retailers. And that's what this panel is all about. You are the core of power in the industry, enabling people to not only keep it going, but move forward. And in light of what we're all going through, moving forward is really about beginning a new day. And we all need to keep understanding that if you're going to wait for it to happen, it's not going to happen. You have to make it happen. Whether you're a vendor, retailer, part of the press, you need to really step up your game and maybe even change your game. Maybe even come up with new game plans that you never thought possible. Explore options you never thought possible. That's what it's all about. And we're very lucky today with this panel. And I'm going to do my usual formula for introducing them. But with this particular panel, in fact, although we sort of have a balance of 2 retailers, 2 vendors, we actually have 4 retailers in that our vendors were also retailers and are also retailers. So not only is the mix great from both sides, but it's really a communal effort. That said, I'm from 2020, but more importantly, who are these folks? And I think most of you know who they are, but I'm going to do my usual thing and open up introductions. And with these introductions, I beseech all of you on the panel to really tell us who you are, tell us where you are, what you do, and why you are dubbed independent. I'm going to shake it up a little bit. Everybody knows I'm a rock and roll fanatic. My son was named after a rock star, Graham Parsons. And many, many years ago, Graham Parsons had a song. And in the song, he had a line that said, Vancouver might be just my kind of town. I love Vancouver. As a nearly draft Dodger, I related to that song. And it's always been a mystical, magical place for me. So that said, Vancouver is her kind of town. Nada, tell us who you are, what you do, why you do it. Take it away.
Wow, that's a
Is
lot
she
of
on her
questions
mic?
to kind of condense
Yay.
for a yakker like me. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
you can handle it.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, it's
Okay, go for it.
so cool to see all your faces. This is so amazing. My name is Nada, and I have 2 stores in Vancouver called Bruce Eyewear and Bruce 2. I am in this business a huge part because of my best friend's late father, who started me. But my inspiration that drove me into the direction of independent is also on the panel, and that's Gai and her sisters from l.a.Eyeworks. And I've worn glasses since I was 9. And for those of you who are opticians, I was born a -3 in one eye and a plano in the other. So my world changed when I got my first pair of glasses because I could see blades of grass, and my depth perception, instead of being like this, became like this. So anyways, I am so honored to be here. And my choice to work with independents is just based on the greatness and the poetry of their work, and the incredible minds and personalities. And it's my fam. It's my second fam.
You know, you lead into a perfect next introduction, mentioning Gai. And I may mention, Gai, do you hear me? Gai, are you with us?
I do. Yeah. I hear you.
Okay.
You hear me?
I'm getting okay. Yes, I can. Years ago, I did a magazine called Specs. And yes, we can. And on the cover of that magazine, which was also a Jobson publication, I featured l.a.Eyeworks. And I featured it because it was my first experience looking at and writing about eyewear. And the eyewear that I got from l.a.Eyeworks just blew me away. It was a feature called the Ice Queen, within a wonderful metal frame. And I think from that moment on, Gai has been inspirational to me. That said, Gai, take it away. Let us know a little bit about yourself, what you did, what you've been doing, and you know where you're going.
Wow. Well, hi
Gai?
everybody. I too. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to be among my family. Thank you. I do. I admire and love you all. And I would just, yes. So there. I remember that article very well, James. So we, you know, Barbara McReynolds and I, my very best friend from high school, began l.a.Eyeworks in 1979. Before that, Barbara had gotten a job in an optical store, and it was in the late 60s. And she said, and we were working our way through school, and really the truth of the matter is we wanted to hitchhike to New York. That was fine to do then. And we needed a summer job. We needed to earn $200 because that was going to be the amount that we figured would be, take us to New York and back. So Barbara got a job at an optical store in Lido Island, Newport Beach, at Rose Optical. And she called me up the first day and she said, "Gai, I've got the best job in the world. This is so cool. You've got to get a job here." And I thought it was the most hysterical thing in the world because I related optical shop with Barbara had recently run into she kind of never knew where her head was. And she ran into a glass door and avoided being hit. But the timing of it was so funny to me that she would end up working with, in my mind then, glasses. And she had run into this door and avoided all this. I said, "Yeah, I'm in, but this is come on, let's acknowledge this is hilarious." So she said, "I'll get you an interview." She got me an interview. 2 days later, I got a job. So the gentleman we worked for was an incredible gentleman who used to run lenses in Pasadena, between the lens houses. His name was Ed Rose, and he was just a wonderful guy. But at this point in his life, he just wanted to play golf basically and go to the beach and be on the beach. So he trained Barbara and I in about 2 days how to decenter a lens, how to take a PD. And he put me in a store at the University of Irvine, his store, and he put Barbara in his store in Lido Isle. And he's, and he would come in the morning and brief us. He told us more than that, but basically we were left alone from like day 2. It was incredible. And Barbara and I would talk on the phone about, did you do this? And how did that frame look on? And we would talk back and forth. Okay, so long time passes, and like long time, 2 months, we earned our money and we went off to hitchhike away. While we were gone, Ed Rose, and he taught us something every day. I want to say he taught us something every day. And while we were gone, he sent postcards to our home, and he'd say things like, I don't know what you girls were doing, but when you get back, if I would really like to have you come back. And when we got home from our travels, there were these postcards, and indeed we needed a job, and we went back to work for him. But what we were doing, because he had turned us loose, we had made all these friends. We were holding draft resistance meetings. We were at the University of Irvine in the optical shop. We knew that we could get we knew exactly how many people we could get out of the draft by making a very big prescription. Back then there was a classification called 4F, and we knew that we could get 2-3 a week, believe it or not, through this Orange County draft office. So we would make, a slab off with a, -14 in one eye, and all it would do was make the person sick that was wearing it. But anyway, it worked. So that was to tell you, and why I'm telling you, as time went on, Mr. Rose said to us, we had realized right then and there we were forming these communities. I mean, I can say that in hindsight, we didn't know that. We were just doing what we were doing. So time went on, we left Mr. Rose, we went on, worked in the optical, at jobs that were simply that we were working for other people and saving our money. And we thought, well, we were saving up our money. We opened a store in 1979 on Melrose Avenue in Los Angeles, which at the time was just a cross street to get from one side to the other. It was, full of spray booths for lacquer, furniture refinishing companies and what have you. There wasn't even a stoplight on Melrose at the time. So we saved our dough. Barbara, we had both been working in the optical industry. My dad built the store. Barbara, Margot, and I, our other dear friend, best friend, sanded and painted and did what we did. And we opened l.a.Eyeworks, and we in 1979. With the idea, there was just nothing for us to buy. And we said, at the time, that people would come by, the reps would come by the store, and before we opened, and they would call for an appointment or knock on the door and basically leave laughing at us. We weren't open then. We weren't open yet, but we were telling them about our idea. We were so excited. We were going to, we wanted to contextualize eyewear in this other way. It all sounds so something you would know by now, but at the time we wanted to create space around the object. We wanted to just look at the object for the beauty of it. We wanted to get rid of all the, the houseplants and tchotchkes that were everywhere in optical stores. We wanted to get rid of the lab coat with the person with bad breath who pulled something creepy out of a drawer and gave it to you and put it on. And we wanted you to see the space around the object. And in fact, we really weren't interested in fashion at all. We were interested in design. And we wanted to present eyewear as design. And so that's how that began. Our store began. And within a year, we found ourselves. And so we did what we could. There was very little for us to buy. So, but what we did buy, we would sandblast it. We had our Dremel motors, and we were drilling it full of holes. We would, go to the kitchen at night And we figured out how to dye frames, and we could buy hair nets, and we could do 20 at a time with hair nets in a big spaghetti pot. And we were doing anything we could to make and customize eyewear. And this was like, 1979, 1980. Until there was really, we had sort of exhausted that. And we made a drawing, and we found out where the factories were. And we went to France, because that's where we found out the factory was, and one of them. And we took our drawing, and we knocked on the door, and to a French-speaking person who actually we met through Michelle Lamy, who was now you probably know of Rick Owens and Michelle Lamy at the time. Well, her family comes from a long optical heritage, Terry Gros, in the Terry Gros factory in France. We went to the door, we knocked on the door, we said we had a drawing, and would you make it? And we told him, actually, we said, if you make this for us, we'll make you famous. So hilarious. But and that's kind of, that's part of how it began. The other part is, am I too long now?
No, Gai.
Too long?
I'm going to
No.
just say,
So
this is
forever.
amazing.
okay, so we did that, and at the same time, it's now 1980. We thought, you know what? We're one store on Melrose Avenue, and our sort of perverse dream was to take a full-page ad in Interview magazine. And so, we just had to do that. That was just what we had to do. So we had enough money to do this, to take this one ad. And of course, everybody, we didn't ever care. We took this ad in Interview magazine, and as one real retail store with no wholesale as a retail store, and our customer base, was Los Angeles. It wasn't, it was the 80s, and you did fly somewhere for dinner in the 80s, but it wasn't quite then. So it was a little early for that. So anyway, the audacity, really, I have to say then, for us to have this idea that we would take an ad in Interview magazine. So to do it, things had to fall into place, and we began this ad campaign. And the ad campaign was really based around, in the beginning, being celebratory of the face. And the face, it was in no means meant to be about celebrity. It was, as I said, from 79 to 80, we wanted to not acknowledge the 70s. I know they're loved now, but then our idea was, eyewear from the 50s, 60s, and 80s. We left out the 70s. We didn't want to see any drop temples. We didn't want to see any big logos. We didn't want any of that. So we began. Okay, so we began this ad campaign, and it was all about celebrating the face. And it was really taking from the streets, and the idea was to photograph them. A couple of times in, a couple of shots in, to prepare for our ad for Interview. And these were people we had access to. It was just wonderful luck and great portraiture. We began with our ad campaign, which became "A face is like a work of art. It deserves a great frame." That's our tagline. We began our black and white portrait campaign, and we began taking ads in Interview magazine as one retail store on Melrose Avenue, and that sort of began that trajectory. And I also want to, it's in this time right now, not all of this is there's so much conversation about, brand building and what is that, and making my brand, and me, and this, and I in no way feel I'm not being negative about that. I'm simply saying l.a.Eyeworks grew. We were flying by the seat of our pants. There was not a plan to, go from here to here with this goal and that goal. No, what we knew was that our freedoms wanted to bring us. Our success wanted to give us freedom. That's what we hoped, rather than entrench us, and that we were going to trust in our intuition, because that's what we knew. Barbara said from the very beginning, and I'll never forget it, as we celebrate our 40-year anniversary, we celebrated our 40-year anniversary this year. Barbara said on the first day when we opened the door, she opened the door, and the day was so perfect, and she said, I feel teary, but she said, if someone likes what we do, we'll do this again tomorrow. And, 40 years later, we're opening that door, and that's how it is. So in this time, I think as metaphor, we keep those doors open in our hearts. So anyway, did that give you some?
You did just great, because there's two takeaways I think I just have to comment on before we move on with the introductions. Your vision of taking tomorrow because it's tomorrow and it's new, and also taking tomorrow, flying by the seat of your pants. The only way you're really going to move into something new is by flying by the seat of your pants. And I think those are two amazing takeaways from someone I just feel is just an amazing person. So that said, I do also recall that ad 40 years ago. I had occasion to write for Interview, and I had never seen an eyewear ad before. I don't even know if there were eyewear ads before.
Yeah.
But that campaign rang loudly for me. And it's something all of us should think about. How are you going to ring the bell loudly, even if it's by the seat of your pants? So onward we go, in that I mentioned my music obsession. A couple of months ago, or maybe about a half a year ago, did a little feature on our next introduced panelist. And within the interview, it was about completing sentences. And of course, being me, it came up about music. And suddenly this guy, who I really didn't know, except to know him as a designer who was growing in stature and had grown from being a dispenser, a retailer, he suddenly is mentioning the Velvet Underground. And I'm perking up. I'm ready. This guy has got my attention. And not only is he mentioning the Velvet Underground, but even though it's a question and answer interview going back and forth, I'm picking up a New York vibe. And the New York vibe is picking up the fact that he literally was starting from the scratch of being a retailer in a really cool store just 2 blocks away from where my office was.
Wow.
Morgenthal Frederics. So that said, opening up to our next panelist, Jeff Press, you're on.
I'm really happy to follow Gai. That's a really easy person to follow. So it's like
Yeah, I knew you'd
following
do that.
clones or something. But I'll do my best. I am Jeff Press, and I am the creative director and designer for Morgenthal Frederics and Robert Marc here in New York City, and have been in the eyewear business for a long time. And as James said, really learned within the industry. So I moved to New York in 1996, and I was sleeping on my sister's couch, and I needed a job. And so I went to interview for 2 jobs because I found an apartment one day. And one of them was at Yohji Yamamoto, who I already loved. And the other one was at Robert Marc, who I had never heard of. And I walked in, and I was interviewed by Robert Marc, and little did I know, I was meeting one of the legends in the industry. And we're talking about it, and I go and I interview at Yohji Yamamoto, and the job is available at Robert Marc immediately, and the other job not immediately. So I take the job, and I start on my first day. And I remember going to a payphone and calling my father and saying, yeah, you get a free pair of glasses at 3 months, but I'm really kind of hoping the Yohji Yamamoto thing works out, because I really want that job. I moved here to be a musician, so I was just looking for a retail job so I could work on being in a band and creating music. So needless to say, the Yohji job didn't work out for me. So I started was with Robert Marc for a couple of years, and in 1998 went over and started with Morgenthal Frederics. And it's an interesting thing because I really learned from the ground up, as James said. I started as a sales associate, became an optician, eventually the buyer. And Mr. Morgenthal, who was a super open guy, was like, if you have ideas, creative ideas, bring them. I'll introduce you to the factory guys. it seems like, you know, you have a pretty good handle on what it is you want to do here. And so I was really blessed to be able to learn from two of the really unbelievable mentors in the industry. So I started working with Mr. Morgenthal on designing the collection in the early 2000s. And when he retired in 2006, became the designer for Morgenthal Frederics. And so that's been really exciting. And in 2006, we came out with our first buffalo horn eyewear collection. And buffalo horn for me has always been a true passion. I love working with acetate and with titanium, but along with great partnership with my friends in Germany, we were able to do a lot of things with horn that's really unique and interesting, and including making very colorful and very unique styling. So I've been designing Morgenthal since 2006. And about a year and a half ago, I became the designer at Robert Marc. And you know, it's an interesting thing for somebody who started in the industry on a sales floor and as an optician 25 years ago at Robert Marc and Morgenthal Frederics, and today designing the two collections. It's sort of a bizarre reality, but it really does go to show you that, you know, anything is possible. Even if you didn't even know it was something you were thinking about making possible. So I've been really blessed to learn from amazing people and get to work with great opticians and only work with the finest product and lenses. And that's been really exciting. And so it's been a great journey and a great creative journey to be able to do that and get to work on different eyewear and really that passion and that love. One thing I like to do a lot of is we do a lot of collaborations with a lot of my friends. So whether it's Blake or Matsuda, Makita, Maybach, Chrome Hearts, we do a lot of exclusive pieces, and I love doing that. The collaboration of bringing ideas together, for me, super energizing and exciting. And for me, really is how I think about how I entered the industry in the first place, whether it was through Robert or Richard, really trying to take that energy off of the people that I was really lucky to be able to spend time with, and really take those things and mix them together to create something unique and special. So I love that part of it and the collaborations, and I love working, you know, even to this day in the stores. I like being with the end consumer because I love that excitement when somebody puts on something great. I started wearing glasses when I was like 18 months old, and I had an extremely lazy eye. So I wore a patch at a super young age. And, you know, when you go into an eyeglass store in the 70s, there were 4 choices. You have your 2 bad metals and your 2 bad plastics. And they say, okay, kid, you're going to be pretty cool. Try something on. And not a lot of good choices. It's a much better world now. So it's been an exciting evolution for me in the industry, but it's been exciting to watch the industry evolve. There's so much great stuff out there now. There's so many really unique ideas that people are bringing to the table. And as we move into a new world, the way we evolve, not just in the way we design product, but the way we service our clients, that's going to become more and more important because, you know, people are feeling a little differently today than they felt a couple of months ago.
Right on the cutting edge. And I think you might also pick up from Jeff that that drive to be a musician. It's not all that far from the drive to be able to truly bring vision, and not just vision, but vision with style to that person sitting across from you, that person looking for eyewear that can define their personality. And as we all know here, the eyewear that can define personality is really built on the whole concept of independence. Yes, there's the fashion branding and the lifestyle branding, but the real branding is what a person feels about themselves. And I think independent eyewear, both from the retailer and the vendor point of view, that's really where a person's personality is truly defined. A glorious part of what it is to be independent. So that said, let's move on to another introduction. I'm here on Long Island. I'm a Long Island kid. I grew up here. I was a Queens kid, and this is my turf. My turf is separated from Connecticut by the Long Island Sound. And just a ferry ride away is this amazing woman who is so dynamic, not only in her personality and the eyewear she deals with, and the way she deals with that eyewear, and the way she connects with not only her customers, but the clients that want to be, and the people that experience her on social media. And I must say, even though there's a ferry between us, I go on Instagram very often to get inspired. And one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to that is Siobhan. And even just study the visual of her as we're talking today. Take in the eyewear. Look at the clothing. It's everything. It's in your skin. It's on your skin. It's on your eyes. Siobhan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you. And Jeff, I want to comment. You said you had to follow up after Gai, but I have to follow up after all of you. And I even commented on my Instagram earlier. I said it's the famous optical legends and Siobhan panel. I mean, listening to every single one of you, like, I'm actually a little teary because I didn't think I could be obsessed with some people more than I already am. And like, just for example, Gai, I didn't know like all of that background. And now like the awkward long hug I give you the next time I see you is gonna be like 2 minutes longer the next time. So my name is Siobhan, and I own the Eyeglass Lass in New London, which if we're talking about kind of jumping in with both feet and, you know, off the seat of our pants if we're wearing them and all of that, I opened my shop in, well, let's see, 6 years ago this month with $400 in my bank account, pupillometer I won, and my PV ruler. And I literally was like, I had tapped out on like box store retail. I got a job in 2003 while I was in college for forensics at a optical shop in a mall because I didn't want to work an overnight shift at Mohegan Sun Casino. And I grew up in Scotland, the country, and not the town in Connecticut. And when we moved to the States, I was, let's see, the first eye exam I ever had, I was about 8 years old. And talk about a lazy eye. I have a Plano minus 575 SIL in my right eye, and basically nothing in my left. And my parents got ripped off by a doctor that said they could, you know, save that with hitting the ball in the distance with my non-existent depth perception and all of that. And I hated glasses. You know, from the 70s 4-pair selection to my 6 or 7 pair selection, mine were called cotton candy and held my cheeks up and went into my backpack when I got on the bus out of my mom's line of vision from the driveway every single day. So I never ever thought I would end up in anything eyewear optical related, except for my yearly exam when they just said my eyes stayed crappy. So when I got that job, I just figured, okay, job, not passion, not lifelong dreams, anything like that. So I started as a optician's assistant, basically just sales floor retail. And I guess I do kind of really like to delve into anything I start, whether it's like a hobby or things like that, or going from one little tattoo to like a full body suit, apparently. And I really, really, really liked this connection that almost felt like a therapy session on both ends with people as they were finding eyewear. And I always saw that it's a really stressful situation for people, not just the exam process, but, you know, as I say to people, you're choosing what your face is going to look like, what you are presenting to your world with whatever your selection is. And my boss was very boom, 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 get them in, get them out. His term when people would walk into the end of the store was squirrel. You squirrel, you go to them, you scurry, you know, and you get those glasses on them and off they go. You know, we never want to see them again. If they're coming back in the store, there's a problem. And it's like, I mean, and I would let people go. They wouldn't maybe purchase that day. And through the years of me saying, don't worry about it, they'll come back. I know, you know, I did my best. I showed them what they could get and the features. And I like connecting with people on an honest level, and they would come back. And I think that it kind of made him realize, like, oh, all right, there's a method to her madness that is being like a genuine human. You know, I never really liked shoving things down people's throats if, you know, they didn't want or need it. So I was there from 2003, kept going to college because I liked school. And my roommate at the time actually also worked at that same optical, and he had started going to an optical program at a college about an hour away. And he ended up graduating, and he's like, Siobhan, you got to go to this program because, like, you already have like 10 bachelor's in credits, like, just go do it, and you don't have to take the extra classes, and like your pay is gonna double, just do it. And I was like, well, I mean, I do like school, and I took all the forensics classes I could do without going to medical school. So, you know, at that point I had become the assistant manager of the store, and he was the manager. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And little did I know that that meant contact lens fitting and horrible things, because Connecticut needs you to be licensed in everything ever so they can take money from you for each individual portion of a license. Like, every day you might as well be like, and this portion of nothing I made is going to the state. And, you know, we had to do everything. Like learning about the people that still fit prosthetic eyes, because I'm licensed to do that. And, you know, all of this stuff was amazing to me. But throughout all of that, all I was loving was connecting with the people coming in looking for eyewear. Now, as a somewhat corporate location, we're like this weird Cohen's that wasn't a part of the big Cohen's, and we were like an offshoot, and our secret owner owns a frame company, and, you know, random boxes of frames would show up and all of this. You know, I'd always be the one hunting in these boxes in the back, trying to find someone something that wasn't in our random 2-pair selection, because you could tell they weren't excited about something else. I was the one in the corner popping out sun demos to be like, what about this frame but clear, you know? Because who would think of this crazy big frame not having sunglass lenses in it? But I mean, that's how I was making my glasses with what we had, because everything else was like 3 pairs in 2 colors and 2 sizes. So ultimately, when I kind of tapped out there, I had been told probably every other day that I cared too much. Everything that was an issue, you know, where I was getting frustrated with my place there and knowing that I wasn't good, you know, I'd kind of gotten to the top there. I was the store manager, I was the optician I was filling in everything. You know, I cared too much. I was getting upset with my employees when they didn't care as much as I did. So I left there. I had been long distance dating an idiot in Chicago, which, you know, you always are like, let me follow that path, love. So I moved out to Chicago. I got a job at an independent shop out there. And basically I was there for a couple months through that horrendous snowstorm out there where the polar bears went inside. Didn't even unpack my boxes because I realized what a tool the guy was. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to do this there. Like, I'm just going to do this. You know, I'd run through all of my savings. And I was like, yeah, you know, and I'm on the board in Connecticut for licensing and continuing educations and things like that. So I had some connections, like some reps that I had known and people that I would see. So I was able to line up a few frame accounts without, you know, being anyone that anyone knew. Like, no one knew who the hell I was. People still don't know who the hell I am, you know. Tattooed girl, Siobhan, you know, whatever you want to call me. Like, hey girl, lass. Like, so that really helped to have these independent connections, because without that, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere. You know, I had reached out to some companies, and rightfully so. They're like, we need, you know, background, like, we need to see your storefront. And I'm like, well, there's nothing there right now because I'm getting a sign, you know. And I bartered 2 old jewelry display cases for a future pair of glasses from another business that was like updating their look. So, I mean, I got a can of paint in my favorite color, and which is the fabulous color that Dale has behind him. Excellent choice, Dale. So I painted an accent wall. I painted one of my display cases with the extra paint, and I was like, I'm open. And there were like 15 frames in one case, and then some of my tchotchke to fill out the rest. And I still care too much. I mean, it's probably my downfall, but I think that maybe the reason people come to me or hear about me or things like that is because I literally throw myself into every, I don't even want to call it a transaction. Like, every time I hang out with someone new in my store, you know, I set it up to be kind of like a weird living room. I know, Terrence, you've seen it in person too.
It's so cool.
You know, I think it puts people at ease. And I know that now, unfortunately, we're in a day and age where we kind of have to lock everything up and worry, but every single frame in my store is available to be touched and picked up and tried on, which is a little bit of a pain right now for the cleaning aspect, but is fine. Because I found that when everything is under lock and key and someone has to ask to try on every single frame, they're not. They feel guilty already. You know, it's like instantly, you know, your running monologue in your head is, oh, I'll probably look stupid in those, I'm not going to bother. Or, oh, I bet they think I look stupid in those. Or, oh gosh, I already asked to try on 4 frames, I'll just stick with these. Or, oh, I'll go somewhere else now. You know, you shouldn't be limited. I tell people when they come in, do a lap, just do your thing, and then we'll reconvene and start over. You know, like, I'm here as much or as little as you want me to be. Like, if they're like a deer in headlights and they want me to just instantly start handing them frames that I get a vibe for them, sure. But I say, hey, if anything catches your eye whatsoever, even if you think you're going to look like an idiot, try it on, because you might like something. And the amount of people who say, I never thought I would get a pair of glasses like this, but the smile is literally blinding when they pick them up. Like, that is all I need. You know, lately I've been repeating this, like, as long as I can feed my pets, you know, things are going to be fine. Like, when things were normal, or, you know, when they get back to some form of normal, like, those reactions from people are what are going to keep me going. So the fact that there are people like the others on this panel who have paved the way, you know, with these designs that are amazing and unique, and have brought them to different areas of the world by taking chances on said designs, like, you know, that's what makes my world go round, you know. And, you know, the whole going online to look for inspiration, absolutely, I'm always lurking, all of you, like, you know, even just sometimes seeing someone's outfit, and then randomly I'll see a frame on someone else, and kind of like something about the outfit reminds me of the frame, or vice versa, and then how I could bring different aspects of that to someone else, you know, by saying like, hey, you know, this shape might, you know, there's always a way to like tie in different things. And it's just really exciting for me to have made it this far? You know, like they say, you know, like every year, you know, you should kind of like sit back and think like, is this feasible? And, you know, are you going to do this? And, you know, every time I hear things like this, I'm always like, man, I really want to somehow design some frames. Like someone asked to pick my brain, you know, and like, you know, maybe one day I'll get to do that, but to just be.
You will.
I'm going to hold you to that. Like, this is recording, Gai, I got you. You know, there's just to be an offshoot of that. And I don't know what it is, like in the area I am, you know, there really wasn't anything. And I can toot my horn a little bit, I guess, and say like, there isn't a place like what I have to show people these amazing works of art that are also known as eyewear for miles. And just the fact that like I have people travel past cities and towns with optical shops of all shapes and sizes to come to me, like, and I've never done direct advertising. It's all word of mouth. Like, so to me, I'm like, oh my God, you know, enough people are asking people about their glasses, or, you know, you say like we only hear about bad news or bad reviews or things like that. If I'm doing something that I love and that's showing enough that people are actually talking about it or sharing it, like, you know, I feel like I'm doing my part, you know, if we're going to be out and about and seeing, like, we might as well feel extra great about doing it. So, you know, the fact that there are these amazing independent options, and I feel so bad for the people that let me go off on a tangent about like what the minimal difference is, you know, in a hinge. You know, it's like I might as well lock the door behind them and say like, you know, what would you like for dinner? Because I could just be like, ooh. But I was one of those people. I didn't know any of that before. And just to get little snippets of information about how amazing a frame is when you fold it and see how it's folding, like, it's just phenomenal to me that there's so much about something that so many people take for granted, you know, that can be enjoyed and appreciated. Like, yeah, I'm obsessed. So yeah, that's me here. Yeah.
Stay obsessed. Stay obsessed, because think about it. The takeaway from what you just covered, and in light of the fact that we're all about to step into a brand new day, no way, shape, or form that the old normal is going to work. It's the new that has to be opened up. And really, if I was going to take a first step, and if I'm going to take a first step, I want to be able to say I do it because I care too much. Here you are criticized for caring too much. I can't think of a better way to be caring too much. So thank you. Fantastic. You touched a little on where I'd like to go next. And I'd like to go there with Jeff, because I think part of being on this panel and devoted to the independent retailer and the independent vendor, I think it would really be great to get a really clean definition of what independent eyewear, the actual product, which I love, what independent eyewear is. And I direct this to Jeff because I noted to him the other day, I was actually the last person to shake his hand before everything got isolated. And that opportunity happened because our very last appointment with the 2020 editors, we trooped up to Jeff's digs, and he did a presentation for us. It was the first time I had gotten a presentation from Jeff on the line that's about to be done, the collections as they are evolving. And I was mesmerized. His descriptions, his ability to translate what style is, and what style is far and above what just fashion is. And so in that regard, Jeff, give a shot at what independent eyewear really is. When you step aside from the fashion branding, the lifestyle branding, and you're looking at eyewear, designed by Gai. Eyewear, designed by Jeff, for Morgenthal Frederics. What is that eyewear?
You know, I think it's an interesting thing. We talk about independent a lot, and that term comes up in this industry maybe more than in other industries. It's a little blind spot for me because I'm in this industry, but we talk about it a lot. And for me, it's about this idea, because eyewear is so specialized in the fact that it's got to be comfortable, that there's a medical aspect to it, that it's got to be beautiful, that when all of those things really come together, to me, that's when we're really doing the right thing for the client. So, you know, obviously there's plenty of branded product out there, and there's plenty of you know, mass product out there. But I think what makes the independent market so interesting is that it's product that's really made to improve the person's lifestyle. It's going to be comfortable. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be unique. It's not about, you know, wearing the thing you're going to see coming and going in the magazine necessarily. It actually is about being the most important fashion accessory that you're going to have. You know, in this world, in this Zoom world we live in, or whatever platform you may use outside of this, your eyewear becomes that much more evident, because here we are, and I don't know what anybody's wearing other than I know what you're wearing on your face. And eyewear is so transformational that way. And I think what's great about the independent community of eyewear, and we heard it through each of the introductions, and I know all of the little boxes, people are thinking the same thing, and that is that we can really change people's lives with the product that we're making for them, that we're selling to them, that we're explaining to them, because it brings those things together. And to me, that passion, and the passion you heard in some of the other introductions, really speaks to the whole independent nature of how eyewear works. And that is that we're going to make you really excited about your eyewear. And I say this a lot, but our competition is not one another. Our competition is everything else you can buy in the world. You can buy shoes, or you can buy handbags, or you can buy watches. I have no idea if anybody on the phone has a watch, and who cares if you do, because you don't need that, because I'm sure you have a phone. But I know what your eyewear is, and it's that transformational thing. And I think when we can get people to be as excited and as passionate about eyewear as we are, that's when we've really broken through. That's when it's that person who's like, you know what, this is actually what it's all about for me. And I have to say, my mom, growing up, she used to say, the eyewear, I don't ever have to think about, you know, any barriers around it. And she used to wear really interesting eyewear. And I think it opened the door for me to think about eyewear in that kind of exciting way, about how it could really change your look and your feel. And whether you choose to go with something classic or you choose to go with something avant-garde, it's about capturing your own personality and hopefully building upon that wardrobe. And I think that's what the independent portion of the industry brings to the table. It's not about fulfilling a need. Obviously, you need to see well, but it's about fulfilling that excitement and that passion about how eyewear can transform who you are.
Nada, how do you tell that story to someone who comes in your store? How do you tell them in an odd, twisted way that the eyewear that you're going to suggest, that you're going to preview or show to them, is eyewear that can define who they are, can define their personality? So, I don't know, look at all these screens here, think of your clients, and tell us how you sell a client on their personality, their eyewear that's perfect for them.
I think that there's so much happening here, and I'm getting so much information. I just want to kind of like, I'm like that emoji where the head's exploding right now. I think one of the things that we always really emphasize within our team, and I have an amazing team, by the way, and that makes it everything that much more possible. We talk about style and not fashion, and we help people find their personal style and represent how they want to look. And we also show them that I have different criteria that I've invented in my mind. So I'll put a frame on someone and say, you, I want to study with. I want you in my study group. And then you put another one on, it's like, yeah, now I want to drink with you. Or now it's, so every one of those, every time you give somebody a different look, I think you're giving them kind of a gift of a facet of themselves. And that's the other reason why I think independent eyewear, where there's room for so many different looks, because I think the other part that I would add to what Jeff just said is that it's also about having a wardrobe, right? When people put on something and they say, oh, I can't pick which one, and who says you have to pick, right? Like, get them both.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what will make that passion grow for the individuals wearing the glasses too. Plus the fact that they will get feedback. It's one thing for us to say, this is fantastic, but we're sort of perceived as we're willing to go a little farther out there. And I think that when people leave the store and get really positive feedback, and sometimes really surprising positive feedback, I think that's also really huge. And in a way, I think we sell eyewear, but we sell lifestyle, we sell style, we sell a good feeling about yourself. And in that respect, we kind of don't even sell, we collaborate. And with the difference that I get your money, of course, for that collaboration. But I do think that it's a synergy, it's an energy. And one of the things I've also learned from my team is I'm not going to be for everybody. And all of us here, you're going to be working with that client and maybe feel a pushback or something. And within our team, what we've cultivated is this really seamless way where people don't even know that all of a sudden they're working with somebody else, because we get a vibe for what they're putting out and what their comfort zone is. And, they may not be digging the old broad with the purple hair, but they might be into Dale, who's part of my team, who's just down below on my screen. And I know there some other my team members are here as well. So I think it's just, we have to recognize that we're not selling a product, and we're selling all the other things. We're selling passion. We're selling, Gay and Barbara's compassion for the draft dodgers. We're selling the all of us who had bad glasses as kids. And, I not only had bad glasses, but I was so afraid of breaking them that I broke my nose in grade 8 because I took my glasses off because I thought I'd be in trouble if I broke them playing sports. And so instead I broke my nose. Sorry, that's my phone ringing. I don't know what is going on. But apparently we're running a business. Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's what you're after, but I think that, and just looking around at that screen, everybody is just, all I'm seeing is a lot of this, right? A lot of agreement, and a lot of encouragement. And that makes me feel really great. That, and being, with this panel just makes me like, angels singing.
It's great. So I think we might nearly be running out of time, but can I get something else with Gai?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I had no idea that if I was looking to dodge the draft, I didn't have to go to Vancouver. I could have just come to you. And on that note, Gai, isn't it amazing that as you've navigated through this incredible rainbow of independence, we're now confronted with a crisis, with the potential multitude of problems. But I don't know about you, but I'm certainly feeling that because we need to come up with new solutions, it makes for a new day tomorrow. And it makes me really want to embrace tomorrow and trying to figure out something new. I have a feeling if anybody's going to embrace tomorrow in the best way, it's going to be someone like you, Gai.
I don't know about that. I'm a total liver in the present. I'm not a liver, but I am living in the present. But no, I so believe in the present. And I think that as it unfolds day by day, that's where I stand. That's where we stand. That's where we've always stood. I'm not trying to be glib with you, James. But I believe so firmly in the present. I don't have a clue. I think that, there's the conversation of nimbleness and fluidity and, being open, and yes, of course, always, forever, always and forever. And, not in any way feeling like we're, clearly the conversation about, things are going to be different. They're not, our realities are not going to be the same. They're not already, already they're different. And I think, is there going to be, what is this, is it going to be nostalgic that we look back on 6 weeks ago with nostalgia? I don't know. I look at those kinds of things as informing who we are. And, a metaphor for me, I have kept desert tortoises my whole life. I mean, for the last 40 years. And I call them the ancients. They take with them, all that in their time, the life is going, and they carry it with them. And I want to tie that to what Nada said and what Jeff said and what Siobhan said is, and it's simply this, when the compassion, the passion, the story in glasses, and the word story so overworked, but the hope, when the transformational powers, the people are wanting to connect. Eyewear is the connector. They want to connect. I just look at it as, when I feel people, you feel them vibrating, looking at you because they love your glasses. Really what they want to do, they'll say anything. They'll say, I love your shoes. Well, I love your glasses. But first they say, I love your glasses. What they really want to say is, I think you're great. I want to know who you are. Can I talk to you? That's where we're going. That's what this is about. That's what these do. That's what all of you have said. When you felt it that second, as the goosebumps stand up, you felt it that second, you connected. What are we talking about? You connected. And that's what these are, the vehicle of connection. So what I think that will never change. I think we are going to connect. We are the connectors. We're in that lucky spot right now. We have that in our hands, and we have that ability. And we got the little tool to do it. So, here it is. And I don't know, that's what I know right now.
And that brings us full circle, because I mentioned this is about 6 years old with this panel now. And 6 years ago, I asked Gai to tell us something special about her life, and she mentioned the turtles. And it stuck with me all the time that, hey, I don't know where I'm going either. But if she said, she stares at those turtles and the answers come, because we really have to dig inside of ourselves for that creative spark. And it was 6 years ago that at an Independence panel, Gai told me about the turtles. So turtles and eyewear, it seems like a nice, comfortable place to have been on the cutting edge with Independence. Terrence?
Wow, I forgot I was hosting this event. James, that was amazing, James. You really are the optical maestro, the way you conduct these panels and draw everyone out. Siobhan, Jeff, Nada, thank you so much for letting us in. Gai, you spoke from your heart to our heart and inspired so many on this panel and in this room. So thank you.
Everyone did. I'm feeling the beat, baby.
Yeah.
you know, Gai, when I first joined this industry and I was trying to learn about independent eyewear, the first resource I went to was this resource here.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lucky shot.
That's right. So, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Gai.
No, I just gonna say those are lucky moments. Those are lucky moments.
Yeah, I want us to extend for an hour just so we can listen to Gai more.
I feel the same.
There's no loudspeaker thing in your hand.
That's right. Yes, Siobhan.
I want to listen to all of you, because I feel like even if you look at the four of us, I mean, we're different ages, we're different looks, we're different, and yet we have so much in common. And I think that's the alchemy of a panel, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
When you get that. And I love what you said about connecting, because I feel like sometimes at midnight when the grocery store closes in 2 minutes and I'm grabbing that milk and I'm making a run to pay for it and somebody stops me to talk about my glasses, I really know what they're saying is, I think you're really cool the way you buy milk. And,
Yep.
right?
Perfect.
And
Perfect.
so that kind of thing, it's like, and sometimes you just don't want it. And then I think, but I don't have any glasses that let me hide. So, you know,
There you
it's,
go.
but it's about connection for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I put in the chat earlier, we'll never be replaced by technology. Customers are asking now, how are we going to keep doing this without, you know, I've been doing virtual fittings and lots of stuff online and chatting with our customers. And the bottom line is we won't, right? There's something that happens, the magic that happens in person that I don't think you can replicate in any other environment yet. Maybe
Truly.
that'll happen.
Yeah.
No, can't stop. Well, that's a really great way to end this. I know we don't want to end, but we appreciate everyone for signing on. There is a poll we ask you to fill out just for feedback for how this panel went and for future content. But we want to thank you all for coming out. Thank you for our panelists. Thank you so much for those who came from LA. Mickey, thank you. Dale, thank you. Christian Ross, thank you for being on. You know, there's so many people. Barry, we really appreciate you being here as well. Mike Hunter, and all of you that came on as well. Now, as you know, we do this every Friday. So it's a happy hour every Friday. Next week's happy hour is going to be the next generation of retail speed dating with no other than the man himself, Todd Rogers. So next Friday, 4:15 Eastern Standard Time, you will see Todd Rogers mentor new and future independent retailers to have the same independent mindset that we saw here today. We also have Coffee Talk, which takes place every Wednesday. Now this Wednesday, Coffee Talk will deal with the topic of being able to have changes in your office protocols post-COVID-19. So join us with my good friend, Dr. Justin Bazan, as he talks to a few owners and how they're going to be changing sanitization as well as patient protocol for COVID-19, post-COVID-19. So I want to thank you again, James. You're always wonderful.
Thank
Definitely
you,
my
Terry.
optical
Thank you
brother.
very much for this. Felt
I
so
appreciate
good.
it.
I want to
Absolutely.
tip the bartender.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. Nico.
Go.
Nico,
My daily inspiration.
our celebrity bartender. We appreciate you being here, my brother. Thank you so much. And for everyone, I'm sharing Nico's recipe right there for Nico's whiskey sour that you saw earlier today. And in about a few days, you will see all this on our YouTube channels. And you can go back and see Nico's whiskey sour. So thank you for our celebrity bartender, Nico from State Optical. All right, everybody. I know we hate to end this, but I am signing off. Love you all, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you all.
Have a safe
Thank you.
weekend.
You guys,
Yes.
love you.
Love you, Gay.
Love you
Terry.
back.
Love you back.
Love
Love you
you
front.
more.
Love you wide.
Love you higher. Love you wider.
Wider.
Taller.
World wider.
Fatter.
Nobody's leaving. We don't want to go.
Nobody wants to
Oh,
go.
wants to leave.
Weekend.
Still have 65 people on it. Hey, Nico.
Nobody wants to go.
Hey guys, it was fantastic. Thanks for including me. Cheers.
Thank you, Nico.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you
Cheers.
so much. Thank you.
I wish I didn't
here's
have to
the
drive
40
home so I could have had a drink with you.
I know. Come on.
All I had
whenever
was
you
hand sanitizer.
Brent,
Oh,
I'm finally seeing your face.
Look at all these people still. Oh, and people are like got signs
You're
and
probably still on there, guys.
I know 55 people still on.
Hey, we got
Amazing.
nowhere to go.
Thank you so much. It was great. Today was so
anybody
lovely.
want to dance?
yeah. Well, come on.
We wish.
There you go. Oh, and Gay, here's to 40 more years.
Yeah. Oh,
Cheers to that.
100%.
That would make some old skin.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend, everybody, and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you, Nico.
Yes,
Appreciate
Happy
it.
Mother's Day,
Yeah,
Moms.
Happy Mother's Day.
Ciao.
Oh, man.
Still
Hey,
not.
Melanie.
Oh, Pierre's
good.
like coming up here on the. Now we get to see them. Hi, Milan.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
up on the bottom.
I'm gonna unmute you, my friends here from Montreal. Melina, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much. It was wonderful seeing you and hearing you all. And I feel really honored to be part of these panels.
And she's been here every Friday since I started this.
Oh,
She's been
that's
here every
Oh,
Friday.
So good.
Thank you, Milan.
Well, you guys are all amazing. There's one thing that I wanted to add about being independent, and I don't like the word independent eyewear. It all starts with the people. It has nothing to do with the product, because the product has no soul until there's a person behind it. And people should never be looking for product. They should be looking for the people, because when they have the people, they have a story. And when they have a story, they're able to share the people from the base. And the most wonderful experience I could ever feel in our store is when we have people like Gai coming into the store and you've done the 360. You've started with Gai, you've gone to the product, with art, you've gone to the customer, you've done it with your staff, and then you're finishing off at the root. And I think that's just so fulfilling. So all you beautiful creators, all of you.
That's so nice of you. So nice of you.
That's so nice.
It's a
Well,
joy.
guys, I'm going to sign off here. I got to head to another meeting. I'm sorry about that. I know.
well, everybody.
You can stay on though. I don't have to be on.
No, I think when you go off, doesn't it shut the whole thing down?
No, I transferred the host to somebody else in here. So see that?
Oh,
You
is that
see
you,
that?
Bill? Are you stuck with us?
The deal is the host now.
Stuck with you. You know, I was on your Instagram, and I wanted to thank you for donating those safety glasses to first responders.
It's been so great. I've had some really nice people, and I mean, there have been a few people that were like, "Hey, can I get free glasses? I'm breathing," and kind of have to wade through that. But I had a wonderful ER nurse contact me because I put some flyers up at the COVID testing station they have here. And then she messaged me and she goes, "Would my son be able to come in and look at glasses?" She's like, he got a new prescription a few months ago. And I was like, absolutely, so I did an appointment for him. He's a +7 -250, and got something he never thought again that he would wear or would be cool. And they were both so excited. And she posted today about getting her safety eyewear, and she had her scrubs on and everything. And for someone to be excited about god-awful safety eyewear with side shields, when I'm used to being like, hey, these are sort of like, this is tame, and for me to then be excited about the fact that I got someone a pair of OSHA glasses, it's the feel goods all around. I think we're all feeling kind of helpless right now on some level. So the fact that I could do anything, and the fact that my lab is offering that, and Armorex was donating frames, at least we're all doing something we can, Yeah,
well, that was very sweet.
Thank you for that.
Oh, well.
Okay, everyone. Good weekend.
You too.
Good
Get some
weekend and be
Fisher's
safe.
Island lemonade.
Yes. Take care.
All right.
Bye, guys. See all you ladies on the gram.